Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Good Life. I am your host. My name is Carl Claiborne. And as always, come on, guys, let's start sharing. This is going to be a great show. As always, I have a terrific guest on here with me tonight. But I just want you to go and start sharing with your friends. Let people know it is that time. The Good Life is back on. The Good Life also is sponsored by Greater Vision, where you are committed to your vision. Also, it's part of Life Envision You Life Coaching, where you can be all you want to be. So, thank God for what God is doing in the life of the believers. And you know what? This is a great time to be saved. You know, this is a great time to be saved. If you've been on the fence wondering, is it time to go to church? Is it time to come to God? I'm here to tell you it's time. It is time. Okay. Angela Claiborne. Hey, Pastor Sam Hugs. She sends her love to Pastor Sam. Thank God for all of you today. Hey, don't forget, guys, this is the last month for the Good Life. This is the season finale month. We will be coming back in September for our fall session. Brand new show, brand new speakers, brand new look. So, want to make you aware of that as well. So come on, guys. We want to give you a few more minutes to come on. Good lifers, good lifers. Thank God for you. We appreciate everything you do. I mean, without you, there could not be a good life. And we appreciate all of you. So come on and share with someone. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I see you. All right. Let us know where you're coming from, too. We are always happy to see new visitors come on the show. Let us know where you're coming from. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. How you doing, Miss Rowley? Miss Rowley, Angela Day, all the way from Silver Springs. There she is. Good friend. I'm telling you, we're gonna have to come eat some crabs with you over in Maryland. Absolutely. Let us know where you're coming from, guys. We really appreciate you. Here it is, Mobile, Alabama. Thank you so much, Miss Rowley. Thank you so much, Miss Samantha. How you doing? How you doing, lady? Good to see you. You're a preacher machine too. I heard about you. Miss Hines, all the way from Columbia, South Carolina, in the house. I'm telling you, I came down there. Oh man, it is beautiful down there in South Carolina. I was down there stationed in Charleston. Had me a great time there back in the day. Ah, yeah. How you doing, Miss Sandy? All the way from Griffin, Georgia. We appreciate you. Let somebody know we're on, and we're gonna get started in a few moments. Boy, this is gonna be impacting because it helped me first. I think the messenger should always get the message. It should always challenge me. So, guys, while you're coming in, I just want you to know what the good life is all about. When God gave me a vision for this, it was all about being authentic. You know, I had been in church so long and I just saw so much stuff that was not right. And I felt like I was out of place because I started to act like that. I started to be something that God had not called me to be. I started acting like somebody that God had not placed to be, and I was just out of character. And let me tell you something, it is, boy, miserable not being yourself. It really is. So when the good life came on the scene, I said, you know what? I'm going to wear my life on my sleeve and I'm going to let people know what I've been through, done that, got a t-shirt to wear it, and got medals to show for it and the scars and bruises. But now since I became a good lifer, I tell the truth, the whole truth. So help me God. Ain't no fake or phony with me no more, baby. It's all truth because I realize that the truth will make you free. And I'm telling you, I'm a believer that so guys, if you want to be free and you really want to be what God called you to be, give up on wearing the mask. I tell you, if you take that mask off and start being who God called you to be, I'm here to tell you, you will start enjoying the person God created. So that without further ado, we're going to have more coming on. Without further ado, I want to bring in This young lady who has impacted my life. She has been on the show several times, and me and my wife have just bonded with her. She is a great pastor, a great leader. She's just all around a good person because sometimes people don't have the balance. They can be good preachers, but not good people. So I'm so glad that we are just falling in love with this young lady. She is just an awesome person, and she's a servant. She's a giver. She's all of that. So I bring to the table tonight. Without some may know her, some may not. She needs no introduction. But my friend, the one and only Pastor Sam Robinson. How you doing, ma'am?
Good evening, Pastor Carl. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Doing wonderful, ma'am.
I'm,
Absolutely. Living my best life.
and it's good.
Good. It
I'm
is
doing
good.
great. I'm doing great. It's good to be here with you guys.
Absolutely. Hey, so what have you been up to?
Oh, well, we've continued the work of the Lord, continuing ministry. Sam's the Alliance Corps is still building. We actually just had our second preachers prep session. So it was great. It was phenomenal. We had a lot of preachers on there. So that was a great time. Preachers who attended and participated. It was a great time to build, help preachers prepare. So we're getting ready for our women's gathering. It's going to be virtual, which is our tried and triumphant woman. So we're excited about that. That's going to be Friday, May 14th. So that information is coming out this week. We're excited. We're keeping a lot of things moving. And just for scholarship, we have a laptop giveaway coming up. So we're trying to continue building and growing. So, and this is May. So it is Mother's Day, Women's Month,
Come
birthday.
on.
We are celebrating all around. So it's just really good, a good time.
All right. Well, I know you ladies over there and everybody's all excited about doing some good things. So if anybody can hear me, I got some feedback going on. Do y'all guys hear it? You can't hear it on my side? All right. Let me know if guys can hear me. Give me thumbs up. Just let me know if you can hear me. But anyhow, we're going to go ahead and dive into the show. Uh, a couple of days, I was actually sitting on my porch and I just got to thinking about something. And when I was thinking about it, it was like, I saw something and it made me go back and say, man, what if I had did that? What if I had went to college? And I'm gonna tell you what I was doing. I was watching some steppers, right? One Saturday night, I always wanted to be a Q, right? And I had the opportunity, but I wanted to do something else. So here I am now in my 50s, and I came across this step show. Did you hear what I'm saying? And them cues would turn it up, man. They were, and I was like, oh my God. I started going off in la la land and saying, oh my God, I wish I had did that. And oh my God, but it's over. But for a moment, man, I started feeling this sadness like I had really missed something. So I came up, in because a lot of people I hear them, they say, "What if?" or "I wish I had did this." And let me tell you something. I read this, and this is why I really wanted to dig into this, Pastor Sam. I'm gonna turn you loose. At Cornell University, hear what I'm saying now. Cornell University did a study. They asked 100 people the age of 70, okay, about what was their biggest regret or did they have any regrets. 70%, did you hear what I'm saying? 70% of 70-year-old people, Cornell University did a study, and 70% of them said they wish they had lived some type of dream. That is a staggering number. And I know a lot of us at some point in our lives have visited our past and said, you know what, I missed some opportunities. But the thing is if we stay there, that's what's going to be detrimental. So tonight we want to enlighten you and bring you to a point. We may all have some regrets, but you also have a future. So Pastor Sam, let's go ahead and get it popping. Let me ask you, what are some of the main reasons people have regrets?
Well, and thinking about our regrets and what we have going on in life, I think sometimes people are discontented with their present situation. They're discontented with how things are right now, and the majority of the time, we think, had we done something different previously, had we made a different decision, it would not be that way. Things would be different had we finished college, had we went to college, had we graduated from a different school, had we went into a different program for school, studied business instead of science or whatever. Had It's always the look at our present situation, and then the thought or the false reality that um, things would be different had we done differently. And to some level, there's a truth to that. That every outcome is based on the income, the things that have been put into it, the decisions we make. There are consequences. There are effects for everything that we do, and there are consequences. However, when we think about it, the ideal that things would be different had I done something different, mm, to some degree, yes, and then to some degree, we're not so sure about it. It's just the hope, that the hope and the outlook. Maybe it would be, and then
Yeah.
the other part of it is we're looking at the present. So you got to think, when there's a regret or when there's that ideal, it's always something that may be negative. It's not gonna, because we don't look and say, wow, I should have done this different, and then I might not have as much. We don't look and say, I might not be in this great place. It's usually when we're looking at a negative aspect of our living, we're looking at a negative aspect of our life, or things didn't turn out like we would have wanted them to. We wish they were different in a more positive way. That's generally when we're going to look and say, I wish it was different, or I wish I had done
Hmm.
something different. So
Absolutely.
it just comes in, and people don't realize we're focusing on the negative as opposed to
Mm.
what decisions did you make, or what things did you change, or what did we do differently that had a positive outcome,
Hmm.
that had a
Okay.
better outcome. Because we don't regret the great stuff.
I mean, why is that?
I mean, I think that's just the basis of human nature. We don't regret the good stuff because we want, just in human nature, we're glad for the good parts. We're glad for the easy parts. We're glad for the parts that don't cause us pain, that don't cause us sacrifice, or, cause us trouble, or try, or just cause us to go through and feel like we are in adversity. I don't mind if everything's smooth sailing. I'm fine. I don't complain about it. I haven't heard a person complain about everything going good. And then you do have some pessimists who are like, everything's going good, but something's about to happen, right? But at the end of the day, we don't have problems, or we don't wish things were different until we hit trouble, or things are not as good as we want, or until we experience bad times. And I think for a lot of us, for many of us, we don't even take time to reflect on what we could have done different until hell breaks loose, until things start going the wrong way, or they go the opposite direction of what we desired.
Wow. That's awesome. You know what? I was reading a list the other day, and there were 10 people, and they were asking 10 people about these regrets, and so many of them said they wish could have gotten some things right. Do you hear what I'm saying? There's so many people who feel like they have just lost a part of their life because they couldn't get some things right. Shifting gears here, but this just kind of hit my mind that they couldn't get some things right with a loved one. They dropped the ball of forgiving mom or forgiving their dad, and now they're gone, and they feel like they have this guilt trip on them because, I mean, what can you say? I was like one time, dang, I wish I had spent more time with my father. I wish we had said this to each other, and I was trying to wrap my mind, I felt like I did something wrong, but at the same time, I had to realize I don't know. I really don't, because life it is what it is. Sometimes people gonna die, people going to be born, people gonna come in and out of your life, but sometimes we feel like we miss it. So what is it like sometimes when someone may leave our life and we don't get a chance to say, I'm sorry?
So I think when, and we all have experienced that, and I think that's when we actually figure out that there are things in life that are more important. Whereas we may have been too busy to develop relationship as we would have desired, and so later in life we realize, oh, I wish I would have spent more time, because that relationship was more valuable, or my relationship with my parent, while I was out, hustling, chasing the bag, doing
Mhm,
whatever, living my best life. I wish I'd have taken those moments, because once you lose a thing, once a person is gone, we don't have opportunity to get those back.
mm,
And so, when you realize that what you lose or who you lose was so important and so vital to your life and to the growth and maturity of your life, you don't have the opportunity to get that back. And so, one thing we cannot retrace for ourselves is time, what an opportunity, because there, once it's gone, it's gone. You can't pull back in the words that are released out of your mouth. You
yes.
can't get those things back. You can't get the time back, even though there may be opportunities in the future. But even the things that we could have done when we were younger, I mean, no harm. Things I did, things I could have done when I was 20, I can't do them in the same aspect as I would now that, I'm a bit older than 20. And so, even whether it be the vitality of our bodies or ability of our bodies to do those things, or even just developing those relationships, and people shift out of different places. So, in our mental states, in our physical states, even in our emotions, some things don't phase me now as they did when I was 15,
Oh,
20.
man, I like that.
So even being able to come back and apologize to people that we needed those relationships with, or rebuilding those relationships, it's different when you've grown and matured a bit further, down the road. And so it's a bit different, to be able to come back and say, I wish I would have spent more time with you, but now I have all the time in the world. That may not be the opportunity. Even parents, who work a lot, feel regret when I couldn't be at all of my children's games, or I couldn't support them the way I would have wanted to. I wish I had been there for them. And then, so when their children are older now, parents want to, try to get that time back. But the child who is no longer a baby, who is no longer an adolescent, is now in a different place, or is an adult, or is more mature. So they're in a different place. So you may not be able to gain or regain the opportunity that was there. And so then there's a regret, because that opportunity is gone. And now we don't even know how to connect in the same place, because we're both in different places.
Wow, wow. I like that. You know what? Since you're there, I did some research on something, and I remember this quote by Steve Jobs. This was before he actually passed away. He knew he was, getting ready to depart. This is what he said. He said, "With all the money I have, I can't save myself.
Right.
If I could have done one thing with my time, I would have spent more time with family. I would have spent more time with my kids instead of working on the next project." So my thing is, what brings us to that place? That is just so. I mean, he couldn't see these things while we can't see these things while we're living. But the older we get, I don't know if it's maturity or is it the thing of, he was like, hey, I know I'm getting ready to leave, but now I know what's more important. And the reason I'm kind of dialoguing with that, because a lot of people feel that if I had enough money, my life would be okay. So Steve Jobs had all of that. He had a good life, but at the end, he had regrets.
Hmm. And we're going to have those regrets. I think
Yes.
that's a natural and common thing. We're going to have those regrets. And the challenge is, how much time have we wasted chasing after things that were not important? that meant us nothing. How much time, money, energy, effort have we wasted, following behind or doing things that brought us that came to no avail? That came to no avail. And I think we dwell the fact that regret is based upon, dwelling in something that can't be fixed. And when I say can't be fixed, I mean what was done is not something that we can't go back and fix that. And so oftentimes the challenge with regret is we dwell in something that can't be done as opposed to looking at what we can do now and what can be done in the moment. So even as, Steve Jobs said, as for as much money or whatever, he couldn't save himself. And so many times, and we rely, money does, it answers all things. But in the same essence, there's a lot that money cannot do. And yet the emphasis that people, our culture, our society places on money will make us think that money can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Money can't heal you. It can't heal us. Money doesn't bring divine healing. Money doesn't, you can pay for the prescription, you can pay the doctors, but that does not mean that you'll be healed.
Wow, that's
Uh,
good.
and so, you think about those things and just the feeling of being sad or feeling regret and disappointment. I think the disappointment will cause us to dwell in, and it's disappointment in the outcomes of what happened prior to. What we could have done. It's the disappointment. I wish I would have chased after that dream. I should have done it while I had the energy. And now you old and you tired. Now you don't have
Yes.
the energy, and now you don't have the means, or you don't have the abilities, you don't have the opportunity. And so I think the challenge with us as just human beings having the regret is that we know that there's always opportunity and that there's always something different that could have been and still can be done, and not knowing what to do. And I think a lot of that is, we have matured, and we are able to look in life and say, oh, I could have done that. But at the time, did we know that? Were we fully informed? A lot of times, in our youth, we think we know everything, but we're not fully
Yeah.
informed. We don't know half of what we think we know. And even older people may, or those who are more wise, try to tell us and try to give us insight, and we're not trying to hear that. We're not trying to listen to somebody
Ooh,
who
you
has even
preaching.
walked the same way, someone who has walked our same road. They see where we're going, and they try to give us advice, and we're not trying to listen. But my grandma used to say, you gonna listen, you gonna hear somebody one day. Because I wasn't listening to her, she was saying, you're gonna hear somebody. Life has a way of teaching us that things that we've heard about, we've heard from others, but until we learn the lesson of life ourselves,
Ah,
until we learn to listen ourselves. And so a lot of times it comes with being. So here we go right back to the foundational piece of regret: being knocked on our tails, being hitting a negative place, hitting the wall so hard that you see stars, being knocked on your bottom to let you know. So again, something negative has happened. Something, there's a negative outcome, or we're looking, how did I get here? I could have done this differently. But at the same time, would we have done it different even with what we know now?
hmm, that's
And,
good.
and we say I would do it different, but you got to think about our maturity levels, our age, where we are, who we are, our personalities. I can do everything. I do I'm big and bad enough to do what I want to do. So in the same, if we take the same mindset and put it in the same situation, the outcome is probably going to be the same.
Uh-huh.
It's not that we would have actually, I mean, where would we have gotten this newly found endowed wisdom from? Where would we have gotten that when we didn't have it in the first place? And we
Right.
didn't operate in it the first time. So, you find yourselves even at that. So Steve Jobs with all of his money, you mean to tell me you come to the end of your life and you just figured this out with all of your wisdom and your
Oh,
smarts?
yeah.
That's
What,
no
47? Yeah.
that's no offense, and that's not taken away from the man. Like, he's a great man, did a lot of
Great.
good things. And so we're not taking away from that. But what I'm saying is that oftentimes the same outcome would have happened because it's the same person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like now this statement, I do believe people have said it. If I knew then what I know now, I
Oh
would
yeah.
have done something different. It would have been different. But the truth is, we did not know then what we know now. And it took us bumping our heads, getting slapped back in life. It took us to learn those things. And so we may not have gotten to that point, but people don't want to admit, the truth is we probably would have made the same silly mistake, same crazy decision, ran with the same people, did the same thing. We don't want to,
It's good.
admit I probably would have did the same thing.
Oof,
But
that's
if
good.
but we because we didn't have the skill set, the wisdom, the life's lessons, we didn't have that. And so that's no excuse, but it is something that is warranted. We forget that we didn't have that. We forget that we didn't know. And so it's to say, how can you expect somebody to function at a level that we clearly were not at? So, like you said, you had the opportunity, and then there are reminders. Glory to God. There are reminders to let us know that, oh, I wish I would have done that. So you wanted to be a cue, and you could have, and now you reflect back, and you still have the opportunity. But I promise, and they were going at it, and they were just rah, and all that. I understand. I
Yeah,
understand. But at the same time, Carl, your body don't move like that now.
that's right.
Go ahead. Try to do it now and see what happens. You be in there. Lady Angela, give me some being gay. Come on, help me out. But at the end of the day, we have to look at what people are looking at and what we are dealing with when we are facing regrets. We are really dealing with our present reality that is not positive, that we do not desire, and we wish things were different. And we wish they were different, and we wish we could have done something. And the truth is, known something or known and done what we could have done differently so that it wouldn't be this way.
Wow.
And when we look at our life filled with regret, then we're missing the point of where we are in a place of opportunity. We're missing the point of where we are in life, that we could even look at it and say, well, I wish I had done that. Okay, but you didn't. And the truth of the matter is, now that you're here, what are you going to do with your life? Now
Mm.
that we are right here, instead of dwelling in regret, what are we going to do right now? I wish I had spent more time with my children then, and I didn't. But do you have an opportunity to do that now? And to build where you are now, or with your parents, or with your family, or with whomever, or learn a new skill. It could be so, there are so many facets to where we are in facing things that we have regret over versus our present reality versus our future. Because if we dwell in regret, we're going to miss the present reality and the opportunity that's there, and we're going to miss what is presented for our future.
Yes.
So we're going to miss those things that God says and God has for us. And what I love about our entire story, for those who are dwelling in regret and those who are sad or discontented, is that God still knows your story.
Wow.
He knows where we're coming from. He knows what we've gone through. He knows He knows every missed opportunity. He knows every mistake. He knows every decision we made that wasn't, it may not have been wise for our future. And yet he still allowed us to make that. He allowed us to go through that. He allowed us and kept us through that. And yet says, and there's still more. There's still an opportunity. There's still something you can do. And so, I think part of one thing that people find themselves in is either you're going to be on the side of regret, or we're going to find ourselves on the side of repentance, because they are not the same.
Wow.
They are not the same. So when we are regret, we have missed opportunity. But then what regret does, it stops right there. It doesn't move any further, and it has the ability to paralyze us from moving forward. It has the ability to lock us in our present situation. That's why a lot of times people don't do anything different than what they're already doing, because they regret what they missed, and so they think, well, I just settle right here. But the devil is lying to somebody and locking them in a prison of regret, because you don't have to stay right here. If we can even move from regret to being able to repent. Okay, you know what? And repentance has that, yes, it has the same measure of being sorrowful, being sad, being disappointed. But repentance has one thing included that I love, and I'm so glad for the opportunity. And that is the opportunity to turn around, to
Come
make
on.
things different, to do something different. And so right there, I just want to interject what Paul says to his church, to the church at Philippi in Philippians 3:13. He says, brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto things which are before me. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. He's saying, listen, I cannot, I have to forget those things which are behind me. Regret will not let you forget. Regret will remind you every day of every mistake, of the thing that you did not do, of the opportunity you did not see, we did not seize. It will remind you and make us feel less than what we are and less than who we are. And God knew the decisions we made, and yet he still caused us to wake up the next day. And yet he still allowed us to keep going. And Paul says, listen, I know I have not made it. I have not arrived. I have not apprehended. I have not gotten there yet. Come on. I may not be where I'm supposed to be, but my train has left the station. I'm not there, but I'm going to forget those things which are behind me. Why? Because I can't go back and fix them. I can't change them, but so much. I can change what you think about them. I can change how you understand them or how they came to be. But at the same time, I can learn from them. I can grow from them, but I cannot dwell in my past. You cannot dwell in your past. And thank God for all of the things that we wanted to do in our past, and given the opportunity again, you have the wisdom, you have the understanding. Is that something you can do now? But at the end of the day, forget what's behind you and look at what's in front of you and press towards that. Look at what's in front of us and press towards that and reach for it. Glory to God. Because if we're going to be in a place of regret, we'll never get an opportunity to walk into the will of God for our life. We'll never get an opportunity to walk in a place of repentance. Repentance sets you free. I know folks don't want to repent, but see, that's the difference there. While repentance has the godly, sorrowful heart, and it has the disappointment. I'm sorry that I made that mistake, but now I have opportunity to turn it around. Now I have opportunity not to dwell in it again. Now I have the opportunity to move forward without that thing paralyzing me, without being locked up, without standing in, and it brings about a liberty that comes with forgiving ourselves for our past. Forgive yourself that you didn't take the opportunity. Forgive yourself that you didn't use your time well. What are you doing with your time now? Forgive yourself that you didn't graduate from college. You still have opportunity. You might even have a better opportunity.
That's true.
Forgive yourself that you didn't take the advantage and move forward with other things. But at the end of the day, when we are at a place of regret, we will be stuck there and we will be stagnated there. And that is what the enemy wants us to do, is dwell in that. Yes. Dwell in regret. But regret, and listen, we can drown in a sea of regret and still have nothing accomplished except to say, I could have, I would have, and I should have. And should have, would have, could have, will do nothing for you until you actually start doing and start being and start living what you have the opportunity, what we have the opportunity to do now.
Oh my God.
And so I love the fact that we can usher in a moment of repentance to say, you know what, and set ourselves free. You know what? I didn't do that right. I could have done that. Now that we have more wisdom, I did not do that right. Let me try this again. Wow. Let me do this differently now. And so some people would rather settle and regret than take the responsibility of moving forward.
That's good.
They would rather.
Let me ask you something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's go here for a moment, because that is really good what you're saying. In so many ways I can relate. I've heard people go as far as this. Just because you're having some problems in your marriage, that doesn't mean you missed an opportunity when you didn't marry your high school sweetheart. Because sometimes we have to learn to work with what we have. Because I look at it now, me being married to my wife of 20 years, I say to myself, what if I had did that? Where would I be? Because see, my wife is adventurous. I don't know if somebody else would have been able to do that. My wife can put up with me, my attitude and things like that. She has the grace for that. Would my high school girlfriend in 11th grade been able to put up with that? Maybe she would have been running. I don't know. But we cannot continue to have this syndrome of this curiosity. And I think we're curious creatures. Because when things are not going well, we wonder, if I had did this, how would my life be? So you took the words right out of my mouth, because I had this down here and I didn't give this to you. This won't nothing but the Holy Ghost get. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Nike has this thing is they say, yesterday you said tomorrow. How many years go by when we keep telling ourselves, yesterday you said tomorrow? I remember my father would tell me, I said, Dad, when you can give me the bike? Next week. Dad, hey, it's next week. I'm going to get it for you next week. Next thing you know, I had my learner's permit. You see how much time has lapsed by? I'm ready to drive now. I don't want a bike. But that's how we do our lives. So overcoming, this woulda, shoulda thing, because it will keep you stuck. How can we overcome that to gain momentum and go where we need to go?
Yeah, so I think it's majorly important to one decide to overcome, right? I think a lot of people get stuck there um, and they don't make the decision that I'm going to get past this. You don't make this the choice that I'm going to get past this. And I think if we're going to be able to overcome, then we have to do some things. First of all, we have to accept reality. We have to accept what is right now and understand what it is that we're dealing with. You use the example of your high school sweetheart versus the spouse, your wife now, Lady Angela, that you have now. So accept the reality. Okay, thank God for Susie May in 11th grade, but I'm with Angela now.
That's right.
And Susie May ain't coming back, and Angela is here. So accept what is right now, and as opposed to even beginning to compare, as opposed to beginning to compare Angela to Susie May. And I don't know the girl's name, but Angela to Susie May, because at the end of the day, Susie May gone.
She gone.
She gone. And we don't realize that Brother Bob, Billy Joe, Uncle Jack, they gone. We don't realize it's gone because we spend so much time dwelling on that. So I think the first thing, if we're going to, we have to make our minds up. Okay, let me accept reality. Let me accept. That's right, Lady Angela. She says, Lady Angela ain't going nowhere. I know that's right. And so we have to accept reality and then forgive ourselves. So there has to be this release that we have to even forgive ourselves while the situation may still be bothersome, but forgive ourselves in it and understand it's okay. I made a different decision, one that didn't afford me this opportunity, but it gave me another opportunity. And it got me into different things. If there's an opportunity, even at that point, and it depends on what it is, to make amends, right? It could be relationships, it can be different situations, or even make amends with yourself. When you forgive yourself, that is part of making those amends. If you're going to overcome this regret and then being able to release that, as Paul said, forget what's behind you, release it, because that's going to end up being extra weight that's unnecessary weight that will hinder us from from even moving in our present and moving to our future. And then the good thing is, do the opposite. If this causes you regret, do the opposite. When you do
Yeah.
the opposite, it's not going to bring you regret because it will bring fulfillment. And so when we do those things, then we find ourselves being under a lighter weight. We're not walking under a heavier weight. We're actually lighter because we're not holding ourselves against our past. We're allowing ourselves to live in our present reality and also affording ourselves the opportunity to go into our future. And it looks
Wow.
better than your past because now we do have some wisdom about what we missed, right? And then we made the decision, you know what, I'm getting over this. I'm getting over them, him, that, this. I'm getting over all that because I'm not going to dwell in that. That hurt me. Okay, well now I'm going to do it. Doesn't this doesn't hurt me any longer. I'm going to release that. Okay, it hurt me. I prayed about it. I forgave them, and we have to get to a place where we can forgive. We can forgive those who never give an apology.
Wow. That's good.
That's a strong, we may not have the opportunity for an apology. If we could just go a step further to understand, there have been things and situations, traumatic things that have happened to us in life that we still are struggling with. We still are wrestling with right now. Our personalities, how we act and how we behave right now could be from something that happened to us when we were kids, when we were adolescents. And yet we have regret because we never got past that thing. Well, my dad did this, my mom did this, my family did this. Okay, fine. Now you're a 40-year-old woman. Okay, get you some
Smart.
counseling, get you a good therapist, and keep on and release that thing. Forgive yourself from holding on to it. A lot of times we're holding on to stuff that has no clue where we are.
Wow.
We're holding on to people that ain't thinking about us. Like, okay, and let me go back to Susie May. Susie May ain't thinking about you.
I ain't thinking about her
You're not thinking about
either.
Susie May. We're so glad. We're not thinking about Susie Day. But at the end of the day, there are some people who will look at look at their wonderful spouse, look at their wonderful husband who provides for them every day, does everything to make sure the family is coherent and cohesive and all together, and wives who are subservient and love their husbands and love their children. And they will look at their spouse and say, I should have married such and such.
Oh, that is, oh, that's horrible.
And you miss who's right in front of you. And if you would have married such and such, you probably wouldn't be in this good place. Because now you done married somebody who's upholding you, who actually loves you.
Ooh-wee.
You done married somebody, okay, but we can move on from that. I don't want to get, because I know
No,
for
no, no, no. That's
at the end
good.
of the day, when we think about it, what if, just say, Lord have mercy, we may feel that we're regretful over something that this should have happened. But if God really gave you what you wanted then, huh? If God would have done what we asked him for, some of us would be in a whole bunch of mess. Some of us might be in worse situations and worse conditions. And some of us may not have lived through it. Y'all ain't saying nothing to
Wow.
me. Glory to God. And some of us, we think that was better because we're looking at it from a false reality, right? We're looking at it because
Yep.
sometimes when you in the situation, and you could ask them, some folks, there are rich people who don't sleep at night. Glory to God. There are
Yes.
rich people who are anxious, and there's some broke folks who just happy as they could be
How is that?
because we're not caught up in the things. We understand our present reality, and we're not held because of our past, and we're not living according to our past. And people don't want to come out of the past. They don't want to, because then you have to deal with your reality. And
Mm.
reality causes us to have to be responsible. It causes us to have to discipline ourselves. We listen, Lord have mercy. Some of us, we don't want to deal with the reality that we're adults. Now you got to pay bills. Now you have to have jobs or run businesses that pay your bills. Now you have to position yourself in a place. Okay, so my mom and daddy spoiled me. They got me like that. Well, mom and daddy gone now, baby. You got to do what you got to do.
Oh, wow.
Because the world is not going to spoil us.
Say it
And
again. That's
just
good.
because mom, dad, sister, brother, whomever spoiled you, that doesn't mean anybody else owes you anything.
Mm.
So, I think our young teenagers who are growing up, and and I was like this, and I can't wait till I get out of here when I get grown.
Oh gosh.
And how many of us wish we could just go back and extend those years a little bit, and use some of the advantage that we had,
Wow.
and use some of that advantage. But now, no, I'm telling you, and everything else will be late in the mail except the bills.
Mm.
And I declare they starting to come earlier and earlier. But at the end of the day, when we get to that place, we have to say, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to accept, okay, I didn't make the right choice. Let's be real. I made some bad
Yes.
choices. I made some horrible choices. And it wasn't the most wise choice for me in my life and what I desire right now. And a lot of times when we are in that place, um, we have not been taught key factors in making decisions. We have and making wise decisions and making right decisions for our life. To even ask the question, if I did whatever I decide, is it going to help me with my future goals?
Hmm.
Is it going to, and what happened the last time I made the same decision?
Wow. Now that's good. Because you got to say this. When you were talking about, I have this thing now. I'm getting ready to come up with the things my mom told me. My mother told me memoir. I'm going to do this and you know what? I was so grown. Didn't have a license. No, mama, they love me. Oh no, I mean, we act like. But when I became a parent, I see what mama was talking about because I was trying to save my kids from time, from stuff I had made mistakes on. They were like, Dad, I got this. You know, no, don't, I got it. But then they realized, gosh, I wish I would have this. Mama, I see what you mean now. See, we're not saying these things as parents to get on your nerve, but we realize the pain of the past it caused us in the time. I can't get my time back. One of the most important things we have now is our time,
Hmm.
and you have to use it wisely. So now, how can I get, it's not about, like, let's go here what Paul said. Paul didn't have any regrets at the end. After having a thorn in his flesh, after having been in jail, prison, he didn't say, God, I wish I would have kept killing Christians because since I've been with Jesus, I've been in jail, beaten with rods, all kind of stuff. He had no regrets. You know what he said at the end? He said, I have fought a good fight.
Hmm.
I have finished my course and I'm ready to go. That's what you want your words to be. You don't want to get that sounding, oh man, I wish I had married Susie and I wish I had went to college. You need to make up your mind today.
Hmm.
Listen, what I've learned is, Pastor, this is not dress rehearsal. This is real life. In the life you're living, you are living it in real time. You don't come back and there are no do-overs. You can't come back. People be asking, what would I tell my 20s old self now? I mean, I don't know.
Well, listen to this. Listen to this. So Ecclesiastes, who's this wise preacher, says to us in chapter 7, verse 10, he says, say not, that means don't even say, why were the former days better than these? For it is not from wisdom that you ask this.
Oh, wow.
So even to be able to, and the preacher is telling us, don't even say that the former days were better, because you're speaking from an unwise place.
Oh.
You're not even, so even at that, so for the one who's sitting there saying, oh, I remember that, those were good old days, but that was an unwise place. Why do you think
Ooh.
they were so much better? It wasn't even a good place. Um and I know we have a few more moments, but even for that, for we understand that everything, this is the good part. And see, Paul, you said it. Paul got to this place. He said, he fought the good fight, but he understood when he began to talk to the church at Rome, he understood that all things work together for the
Yeah.
good of them that love God and are called according to his purpose. So even at that, his murdering worked, caused him to have, even him being a murderer. And the truth is, he wasn't a murderer, though he murdered Christians, but he had a right. He had paperwork that said he could.
Come on.
I know, because he had the paperwork that said he could. So it wasn't that. It's all in perspective. Now the
Mhm.
Christians were saying he was murdering it, but his paperwork said he was doing right by the church, by the overall church. He was doing
Yeah.
right by the synagogues. He had leadership backing him. He had paperwork that said it was okay to persecute the Christians. He was in a righteous place. But to the Christian, no, that ain't right, bruh. That
That ain't right.
That is not right. And so we find ourselves, so he did all this. But what it also did was, even as he reflected, and as he went back and as he looked at all of those things, encompassing of all that we have done. And that's why our parents, because they made the same silly mistakes. Y'all ain't saying that. They did the
Mhm.
same, and they trying to keep us from doing the same mistake.
That's it.
And we are creatures of heaven, and we are those, and we're curious. And there's also a saying, curiosity killed the cat. You gonna get exactly what you keep looking for.
Mm.
You're gonna get it. And so a lot of times, sometimes we're looking for stuff that we don't need to be looking for. But because we are creatures of curiosity, we
Ooh.
looking for things that we don't need to be looking. I'm telling you, Mama said a lot of things, but Grandma said even more. I'm telling you now, she said a lot of things. And at the end of the day, she said, keep on looking for it. You're gonna find what you're looking for. Now, how many people have said, this is happening? I know you're doing this, I know you're doing that, and you look so much that it just shows up, it manifests, because that's what you've been looking for. And curiosity has been known to kill cats, men, and women.
I mean, that's serious business.
But
It
I've got to
is.
the place now that, and people are using that term, mind your business. I'm learning. Yeah, mind your business. And I'm a mind mine, because I don't need to be curious in what you have going on and be all in your business. And I lose my life or mess my life up and make my wrong decision because I'm trying to do what I think is you're doing, or I'm trying to be like you, or you're trying to be like me. No, curiosity pulls us into arenas that we don't necessarily have to be. And the challenge is, we're so curious to follow what others would say or what others would do, that we miss the whole point, that there's a plan, there's a purpose that God has for us, and we're not even curious to finding that out. So I circle back to what Paul was saying when he said all these things, and he was a murderer, he was a persecutor, but look at how it worked for him. The same zeal that he had in persecution, he had in witnessing, he had in establishing the church, he had in making sure that souls, that people knew who Christ was. He had that same zeal that he had in killing folk that caused people to live. Once he repented and once he turned, he did not spend his life in regret. And oftentimes these letters that Paul wrote to us, the Pauline epistles, came from a prison cell. He was not regretting. See, you want to look at where he could have been sitting there, man. If I wouldn't have believed in Jesus, if I wouldn't have, when the angel told him, "Don't y'all go this way," and Paul said, "I gotta go this way. I'm gonna go," and the angel told him, "You're gonna be in bonds." The Spirit spoke to him and said, "If you go to this place, you're gonna be put in chains." And even the prophets knew, and everybody around him knew, and they said, "Paul, don't go, don't go." And he still said, "I had to go." And he
Yeah.
ended up going into bondage and getting in trouble, all because he was doing what he had made the decision to follow Christ and do the will of God. And then he gets to the summation of his life and says, "I fought a good fight, and I'm okay with that." How many of us are going to get in a place in life when regret comes to us, when disappointment comes to us, to say, "You know what? Oh God, this is for somebody tonight. I did my best. I did what was right to do. I did all," and maybe it's just for me. I don't know if it's for you, but I know it's for me. "I did everything I could, and so I'm free. I'm not going to allow regret. It didn't work. I tried. It didn't work. I did my best." How many are going to release regret right there at that moment and say, okay, I did everything I could. I breathed as much life into it as I could. I poured into that marriage. I was faithful to them and they still cheated. I stood by them and they still walked away. I led, I taught, I led by example. I gave everything I could. I did the work. Sleepless nights. I studied and still failed the test, but I tried.
Wow.
How many are going to be able to say, and this thing and all of that, the wrong and the right, is still going to work for my good? It's still gonna
Yes,
work for me. I know if I'm gonna look back, then it's gonna be to say, look where he brought me from. Huh? Carl, you ought to praise the Lord tonight that God took you from Susie Mae to Angela. Thank you, Lord. Y'all know I'm jiving. Hallelujah. But look
and
at what God says. And God then goes on to say, listen, I'll restore to you.
yes,
I can see while we are not able to redeem time, while we are not able to make it up. I can't make it up, but God has a way of making things up to us that we never expected him to. Okay, you did not finish college, but did you marry? Did you have your children? Did you raise your children? So you are accomplishing things in life. Were you able to deliver on what I've brought you to in this place now? Are you before you couldn't hold a job, but now can you keep a job? Now can you run your business because you couldn't keep a job? You didn't finish high school. You don't have an education. So that brought you into an entrepreneur level. And now, because of the chance that nobody would give you because of mistakes we have made, and so we have people who have made mistakes in their youth, and so that they have records, and nobody wants to hire them. But what it does is afford them the opportunity to be entrepreneurs. Opportunity to, if nobody will open the door for you, to cut a hole in the wall and build your own door, or knock the wall down and do something else. So I'm not going to be bound in regret. I'm not going to be held by what I did not do, but I am responsible for what I am doing right now. And I'm not going to allow anybody or any past decision to be held against me. I'm doing the best I can right now. And if my present reality is not what I would desire, then you have opportunity to change it. You have an ability. You have a God who is with you to say, listen, I have a way for you that is going to be greater than what you've ever been. And sometimes we make decisions not being led by God. And when we're not led by God, we're going to always get lost.
mm, that's good.
We're going to lose our way when we're not led by God. And so when we are saying, God, I can't go back and fix that. I don't know what to do right now. I don't want to dwell in this regret because I'm not going to be bound to what my past was. I'm going to forget those things which are behind me, and I'm going to reach for it. I'm going to reach, and reach means that there has to be effort in it. There has to be a forward looking. You cannot look forward and backward at the same time.
Oh wow. Oh
And so
wow.
there has to be an effort in it for us in order to obtain it, in order for us to grasp it, in order for us to lay hands on the thing, and understanding that all of that worked for our good. Now I understand why my mom told me this. Now I understand why my parents told me this, and it worked for my good. Maybe I would not have come to the understanding had I not gone through it.
Oh wow.
How much more mistakes would I have made had I not made that one mistake? And sometimes we walk forward with regret, not realizing it could have been a lot worse,
That's true.
and not acknowledging it, and not even forgiving ourselves. Release yourself from the regret of your past. Focus on your future.
Release. Hmm.
And see, some people, it's so hard to do, but it's yet so easy to do. It's easy. And people say, no, it ain't that easy. It is. When you make a decision and say, you know what? I'm not going that way no more. God,
Wow.
I'm not doing that. This is what I'm not going to do. And I'm making conscious decisions to do better for myself, because I don't want to find myself sitting back here on the porch wondering what could have, should have, and would have been.
Hmm.
And the truth is, we don't know, because even at that point, we did it without wisdom.
Wow. You said something that was really, I mean, like life changing. Man, I wish that young men, young women, or older, whatever, and you said this, you said, because people make mistake based on the information they have.
Hmm.
Some things we were just ignorant in, and we didn't know any better. So I realized that when you said this, and I wish somebody, because there is life after death. Some people who have misdemeanors or uh, felonies, or they feel like, man, it's better off I stay in jail than come out here because nobody's gonna hire me, nobody's gonna do something. But what I heard you say is, I feel like this: God had a plan for everything. Ain't nothing we have done has really caught him. Like, oh, I ain't know Carl was gonna do that, but he already made an escape. He already made a route for that because he told me he would give me beauty for ashes. And I realized that you can have a beautiful life after a felony. You can have a beautiful life after a misdemeanor, after serving 20, 30 years in prison. But you got to get creative. Okay, like you said, if nobody hires me, what do I do?
Hmm.
I got to start doing something. I got to start, and I mean, God is a creative God. And so I just believe that whatever we miss, you know what? We missed it. I can't go back and change it. I don't wish I was in the marching band no more playing drums. Let my grandkids do that. You know what? I used to hear guys sit around all the time. Oh man, I remember when I hit this guy, and I mean they would get in the mode. It was almost like they was getting ready to hit you. It's like they were zoned out. They just remember. Is it something about your past, those good old days that make you feel good? Is it like adrenaline? I don't know. When you had this sweet love and he had a curly kid and he had a nice car, I mean, does it make you feel good now? Because, when you said that, it's almost like a sin to think that the former days are better than where we are.
Hmm. Hmm.
That is mind blowing. That changed my life because I'm serious.
I
Because
know.
there's nothing back in Lola Bar. Let me tell you something. I mean, what's back there?
Nothing. There's nothing back there, and that's the whole plan of the enemy, is to get us to try to keep us looking back,
Yes.
to try to keep us looking back, because once we get a glimpse of our future that God has for us,
Oh,
or that there
yes.
is a future, once we get a glimpse that we are able to move forward, once we get a glimpse that God has greater for us, there's no stopping us. Because a lot of times when you get a glimpse of something better, you run after it so hard. You run after it. We run after it. We go after it. And so if we're still looking at what's behind us, how are we ever going to get a glimpse? And
Ooh,
even if our thought processes, and there's nobody, and so we don't have people, we have to have people in our lives who are constantly saying, look for the future, look to tomorrow, look better, look at what can be, look at your possibilities here, instead of looking at all of the negatives and the takeaways. Look at what is possible.
yes.
And all things are possible to them that believe. There's nothing that's impossible. There is no. So if you're going to say impossible, you have to say, I'm possible. I am possible. And so if you're going to look at it that way, to understand, there have been plenty of opportunities that we have just totally jacked up and messed up. But at the same time, not to yield to the regret that's there in our life, and not to yield to that. So we've had all of our times that we could have been, we missed, and we missed the opportunity. But to everything, there's a season. So that was that season. And now this is a new season. And let us walk in the new season with just as much fervor and just as much zeal, without the regret. If you have disappointment, repent, turn from wicked ways, turn from even poor mistakes, make wise excuse me, Lord, make wise decisions, and begin to evaluate your decisions. How did it turn out the last time? And if I make the decision now, what is it going to do for me this time? Is it going to get me
Mm,
closer to my goal? Is it going to cause me to miss the opportunity or take advantage of the opportunity? Is it going to cause me to walk in it or not? And so those are the things that we miss it. We make the worst decision we can. And then because we made a bad decision, we'll fault ourselves for the rest of our life. But it's
yes.
time out for that. So don't hold it for the rest of your life. That was then, this is now, and let's move on.
Yeah. Look what Sabrina Lewis said. This was I had to put this back up here
Oh yeah.
because sometimes we can get stuck when we miss stuff. It's like, dang it, and we'll stay there and just feel like it's over. But she said, missed opportunities can open the door of creativity.
Right.
Wow.
Because you have no choice.
Yes.
We don't have a choice. Okay, if you've been backed in a corner and there's nothing else, it's amazing what comes out of us when we are under pressure, when there is no other choice. It is amazing what happens when we are people, when we miss the opportunity. So now you don't have a choice but to become creative. And it's oftentimes you don't get oil out of an olive until it's pressed.
Yes.
You don't we don't find out what that we didn't even know we could do this until we had to do it.
Hmm.
I didn't even know I didn't even know that I had the skill and ability until I had to try to do something. I didn't have the money to go buy all the nice decor to go in my home. So I just went to the Dollar Tree and I figured it out. I got me a nice glue gun and some little flowers and some vases and put it all together. And it looked just like the one in the store. I
Wow.
didn't know I had the creativity. I didn't know I had the creativity to be a designer or a clothing designer until I could not afford what was in on the rack in the store. I couldn't afford it. So now I learned how to put this stuff together and pull this together
Oh,
and
yes.
colors together. So creativity comes, it can come out of missed opportunity. It can come out of closed doors. It can come out of so many no's that finally the only yes that we have is coming from within.
Wow. That's good.
It comes from a place. And listen, you need Pastor Sabrina on here. You need to get her on here. That woman is full of it. And so she's full of might and wisdom. And so the amazing thing is that we miss the opportunity, but we realize there's an opportunity within us that we miss
True.
and that we don't unfold. Because there it is again, all because we're looking outwardly. We're looking at everything else except for what God put in us.
Mm.
And understanding that we are creations of God. And so there's a part of God that's in us, and his creative ability lies within us as well.
Wow. Sis,
He's
can
a
I ask you something?
yes.
Look, two things I was writing. When I'm looking over here, I'm writing. I am writing. I try my best. And yes, I have been looking for Miss Sabrina Lewis because you told me about her. Hey, tell her, hit me up. We gonna make some things happen. I love what she says. Um, Two things. I want to ask you this: have we truly met who we really are? Have we truly met all of us yet? Because if if we only knew there's, and I was saying this today, I don't think we have really tapped into the really core of who we are. I think we're still too surface because if we think that high school is better than where I am now, that is a problem. Even if I got bills or wherever I am in life, sleeping on my mother's couch is not better when I where I'm at now. I mean, have we tapped into all of us? And then I want to ask you this. I want to go here. This false reality of it's almost like reality TV. When you look on Facebook, you have all these regrets because you think your high school classmates are doing better than you, and you don't want to go to the reunion. You think that these people who are, and I get tired of people say they said, who are they? Who in the heck is they? I want to meet they.
I
Oh, they
don't
said I can't. Who is they?
I don't want to
Please
meet
let me know who is they. I've been trying to figure this out for a long doggone time. Who is they?
I don't
Does
want to
they is that's what their name is? What is their last name? I mean, these people with these crap pat mentalities who are in regret, trying to pull you down. Who are they?
yeah. I
Uh,
don't I don't want to meet they. They
I
talk
don't
to
want to
me.
meet they. I don't want no parts of they. They is not a friend. They are
They
not a
talk
friend. And you know what? I'm tired of these false reality friends that love you for 30 days and then, you know what? I ain't got time for you. See, that's wasting time, man. I am
Mhm.
particular now about my circle. You know what? I mean, whew, I'm tired of that.
Mhm.
Go
Well,
ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Just you done got me all messed up here. Who is
yeah,
they? That's right. Who are they? Who are they? Who is telling you you can't do this? Who are they? If I hear somebody say that one more time, take my belt off, and they say it, they who?
they.
Oh, they told me I couldn't get a job. They told me I couldn't get a job. Okay, maybe not with them, but knock again.
Mhm.
Forget they. Come on, sis. Come on.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm just,
I
I'm
had
just,
to go off on that day. I mean, I get, there you go. Fake friends. That's right, man. This false reality. I
well,
mean, this girl was telling
I'm
me,
just gonna touch
oh,
on I'm just going to touch on this. So you asked the question, have we really met who we really are? Have we met
yes.
who we really are? And I don't believe that we have actually met who we really are. Just like there's so many things or so many facets to our own personality that we've yet to grow and learn. And I think because there's always this outward focus that we've not really been taught. Even the teaching that we have not been taught to always take time to evaluate or understand ourselves. And I think along the same lines as it's just like learning God, right?
Mhm.
There's so many sides to Him. Who will ever know God in full detail prior to getting the glory and being with Him? And then there's still so much that we don't know and that we're ever learning. So that's the same way about even I look at that about ourselves. You know, so we often say, if I were you, I would do this, but you're not me, and you don't know what you would do in the same situation. And so we really don't know ourselves to the fullness. And there's yet you can still know yourself and know, a large part of your personality in general, what you would do. But there's always, because we're ever learning creatures, ever evolving, there's always a new side to ourselves to learn and understand. So I don't think we've really met our full selves, but I do believe that we are creatures that can be able to tap into our potential to understand that there's more to me than meets the eye. And if I stop looking with my eyes and even search, inwardly through the Spirit of God, through discernment, or even taking
Mhm.
time. So that's where the crossroads comes, right? Taking time to reflect and assess even who we are. And how do we ever stop to ask ourselves, how did I really feel about this situation?
Oh, wow.
What do I really believe about this? A lot of times we're moving so fast that we skim over those things, and it's always the assessment, the retrospect, that taking that time. And sometimes we don't slow down enough to know how we really felt about it. And I think that's where the term I felt some type of way. We don't even stop to figure out which type of way we feeling.
Woo. That's
So
good.
when you say I felt some type of way, okay, you don't even know how you felt, but you just know it was some type of way. And that, I hear people say it all the time, but at the end of the day, the least we could do is know what we feel, know what we're thinking, to understand ourselves, taking time to sit down and think about what we're doing and what's going on within us, so that we don't have all these heart problems and heart challenges, or emotional we have all these emotional ties, and we don't even know because we don't understand how we felt about it. And so then you brought up also, so that there comes in this notion that I have to be a certain person on Facebook, I have to present a certain thing. I taught recently to the Preachers Prep about comparative culture. And the challenge with comparative culture is that we begin to compare ourselves, and oftentimes what we're comparing ourselves to is fake, is phony. We're looking
Yeah.
on Facebook. And so the Lord set me free. People going through, look, people going through just like I'm going through. They got problems just like I have problems. And don't, you can't let Facebook fool you,
Please don't.
because we'll begin to compare. I mean, somebody's looking at the good life saying, oh, why isn't my show doing this? And why isn't my show? But they don't understand, child, this is hard. This is not just the easiest thing. You have to find people to get on. Oh, they come on and talk about, have something to say. And, you got to do all this stuff. And people think, oh, he's doing good. Yes, we are supposed to promote and undergird and encourage. But at the same time, we can do it so much and to a point where it sends this false reality that everything is good. We've got it going on. Everything is perfect. perfect, but they don't know you've been up all night. They don't understand. They think you got all these lights, cameras, actions. It's just you, a extra lamp, and your phone.
That's it.
They don't understand. I mean, they don't understand. And so sometimes we have to just take the step back to look at things for where they really are and say,
Yes.
okay, that's the nature of their life. But God, what do you want from my life?
Hmm.
And so when we find ourselves comparing our life, when you compare your life, are you your best self? Are you a better part of you? Do you even know yourself? Because everything that other people do, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what I need to be doing.
That's right.
And so
Absolutely.
if they say, Lord, I love they say, but I think that's a term that we people started using because we may not have the discipline to go back and figure out. It can be a term or a phrase used from when we gathered information. It could be something simple as watching the news, where they said on the news this, that, and the other, and that's what we go towards. Okay, but have the discipline. Who was it?
Who
What did
was it?
they say? Was it, WRAL, WTVD? Who said it?
Yeah,
Where
right.
did it come from? And so, because we're not
That's
creatures of
good.
actually gathering information and we're so used to generalizing
Ooh,
everything, we'll say they say. And sometimes they say will cover up what we really want to say.
ooh, wow. That's in a nutshell right there. That is tweet that. Bam.
And the truth is, I mean, Carl, we spend so much time trying to worry about what they say. We don't know what God says. We don't know. And do they really matter? Are they
They.
making a difference? Are they signing your checks, paying your bills, causing you to live, loving you, caring for you? Are they? Who is they? And why do we give they so much more power or influence over us,
Mm,
to the point where we start doing what they want us to do as opposed to what God wants us to do, or we're going to find ourselves doing regrets. I was following my friends. They told me to do this. They told me.
hmm.
Mm-hmm. And they don't even have a name, and they don't have a place of priority in my life.
Wow.
Wow. Because at the end of the day, are they going to be there when you need them? And since we don't know who they are, no, no. And so,
You know.
we don't have to dwell in the regret of, they said if I did this it'd be better. We don't have to dwell in that regret. We can repent and be released from it and live our lives according to the will of God. And like you said, I'm very intrigued by what you said. You know how God, even in the worst situations, out of our worst mistakes, God always prepares a way and makes a way and gives us opportunity. um and the challenge is for us to see that
Yes.
and to acknowledge that, so that we have the advantage to take there. Even in adversity, there is an advantage.
Mm.
Even in trouble, there is an advantage. And oftentimes we're so busy looking at the trouble that we do not see the triumph, the fact that we
Oh
are
boy.
still alive. It came to kill me, but I'm still here.
Come on. I love
It
it.
came to destroy me. I don't, it wasn't good that I went through it. I regret going through that. I regret having done that. I regret for the single parent. I regret having a child, and having to raise a child. But at the end of the day, you became a wonderful parent, and you took care of your child, and you raised your child, and you gave your child principles that might otherwise not have been given had you not even been in that situation.
Amen.
Amen. And
Wow.
so, wow, we have to really find ways and continue to cultivate and foster conversations that are going to encourage people to come out of regret, come out of the bondage, come out. So I can talk about where we are all day, but at the end of the day, you got to come out.
You
At the
got
end of
to.
the day, I can't leave you there. So it's just like they teach good preachers. Don't leave Jesus on the cross. You got to, don't leave him in the grave. You got to get him up.
You got to get it.
And in the same manner, we've got to, and so that's what you're doing. That's what we're doing as, prognosticators of the Word of God, continuing to keep people at bay, to understand that where you are is not where you have to remain. Just because you have a regret does not mean that you have to remain there. And we can move forward from there and not stay there.
Mm.
Because staying there will benefit and profit nobody.
Absolutely.
Because it's
Because
already a place
somebody's
of
waiting on you. You know,
right.
what if I had stayed because I had so many regrets? Some of the most, oh God. I remember being in atmospheres and people were saying, "Oh man," I was feeling bad. Maybe I'm a late bloomer. People were saying I got saved when I was 13 and I got saved when I was 16. And I'm like, dang man, I was running and drinking, and I mean I was just doing everything. Why didn't this happen for me? But I look back over my life and I said, I am right where God wanted me to be. Because if I had did that life, what would this life look like?
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe I went through so much that I can talk about so much. See, it's hard to get, I mean, some people be like, I'll be saying, come on the show. They be like, no, I can't talk about that stuff. Because see, I'm out here, man. I'm out here. And you know what? It ain't really hard because I have lived it and it's over. Now, the hard thing is when you are still struggling, but I'm over it. So, my thing is, I want to be like a father who's keeping their kids from falling in ditches. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about stuff that people don't want to talk about because they're scared somebody's going to scatter. But you got to listen to this real stuff, man, because God is trying to bring you out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Regrets.
And we don't want to
Oh,
have
you
the
can say when
conversation.
you're not, as long as you're saved.
Yeah. And we don't want to have the conversation. Sometimes it's too painful to think about. It's too painful to even voice.
Yes.
It's too painful to say, I messed all that up. Because because what it does is bring back the responsibility, the accountability. It brings we are responsible to help some and so when people say, well, I've been saved since I was 5, I came out the womb speaking in tongues and all this stuff, and I tell them real quick, that's not my testimony.
That ain't mine, man.
I don't have that testimony, but I'm glad that I do have a testimony now. And because that's not my testimony, the one that I can tell can reach somebody else.
Come on. That's what I'm saying.
It reaches the person who that's not their testimony either. And so the challenge is being able to foster the conversations and just be responsible enough to walk with people through their challenges.
Mm.
So at my church, part of our purpose, we're called and purposed by God to get you out of the fire and into the kingdom. And that's just not getting you to heaven. That is getting the kingdom here on earth to walk with people through their fires of life, to understand we all gonna go through some stuff. But if we have the word of God, we have God himself who enables us to walk through these fires and have the kingdom right here on earth, the kingdom in our life, the kingdom in our heart, the kingdom mindset, to understand that I went through the fire, but it wasn't to kill me or burn me up. It was to help me be purified. It was to purge me. It was to enable me to come out with fire. Y'all ain't saying nothing. It was to enable me.
Yes.
So and so the scripture simply says, he has chosen me, but he has refined me, but not as silver. He has chosen me in the furnace of my affliction. What are you talking about? See, he chose me in the very place. What was wrong with me was the place that God said, I can use that person. I can use that alcoholic. I can use that drug addict. I can use that liar, that cheater, that backbiter. I can use that person who never had a chance in life according to this world. I can use that person who always did wrong, but now I'm going to give them an opportunity to do right.
Mm.
I'm
That's
going to give
good.
you an opportunity to say yes to God and no to the devil. I'm going to give you an opportunity to, I know you 99 and you on your deathbed, but you still have an opportunity. You've done everything in the world. You listen, if you want to have a good time, that's why they put your number and your name in the bathroom. Come on, you want to call this, that's why you are well known for this and that, and glory to God. And God says, I'm still going to be here calling your name. I'm still going to be here saying, come on.
Come on.
Come out. I'm still going to be here saying you have an opportunity. There are no regrets in God,
No.
because God uses everything for your good. He uses hell to let you know what heaven is really like.
Lord have mercy.
He uses the bad. He uses the negative to let you know, to let us know what the positive is. And that's why I love him so, because even when I find myself looking and hoping and still wanting to go back on things that I regret, Pastor Carl, I find myself saying, God, it is well with my soul. I'm going to release it and I'm in your hands.
Mm.
I'm in your hands. Whatever my lot is right now, you have taught me to say, it is well. If hell and high water come, I'm gonna surf the
Yes.
water. I'm gonna walk the water. There are no regrets in God, because
No
when
regrets.
God makes this up to you, listen. One of my favorite songs is "When I See Jesus." Amen. When I see the one who died for me, Amen. I'm not gonna regret. All of my trials will be over, my bad mistakes, all of that. You can't hold it against me, nothing. And when I come to Jesus, even now, you still can't hold it against me. That was me. I did it, but the Lord has brought us out, and He has delivered us, and He's brought us in a place where we don't have to remain there. And so,
Oh,
don't let anybody or any circumstance. Don't let Billy Joe from 10th grade hold you back. You graduated a long time ago. Don't let what the mean girl
oh,
said. Don't let the bullies on Facebook keep making you feel less than. Don't let the fact that they spent all their money just to get a photo shoot and now they're trying to sell the clothes that they wore. Because
oh my goodness.
we make up a lot of stuff, and at the end of the day, we're looking at things that we don't even need to be looking at. Looking unto Jesus, who is the author and finisher of our faith. Look
Yes.
unto Him. Look and let the regrets go. Forgive yourself.
Yes.
Accept the reality. Hey, your cute dog days is gone. My other days is gone. My stomping days is gone. Listen, I'm glad to be rolling around right now. I ain't trying to stomp. My knee don't work right like it used to. I'm all right.
That's right, sis. I
And
love it.
forget what's behind you, and then understand the regret and do the opposite.
Amen.
Do the
All right,
opposite.
we're gonna. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna let you wrap up in your own way. If you feel led, whatever you know how we roll here. But guys, I want you to know tonight that God has given you. If you if He didn't care, He cares so much about what you feel, and there is time for you to complete your assignment. But you can't be, shackled down in what used to be, and we got to start thinking about where we're gonna be. So I want you to know tonight is that you got to get up and get rolling. I mean, time is not waiting for anyone. So it's time to just shake and move, guys. I mean, it's on us. I had to make a decision. Was I going to lie around and be concerned about what people said or what I'm thinking and what the shame and guilt? There is no shame. Look at Romans 8:1, what it says. God has a plan for everything. No regrets in God. Okay, Pastor, in your own way. Hey, I don't matter. We can go over all we want to. This is the last month anyway. We're gonna show off.
I'm
May
not
is the
sure
last
how.
month, and
I'm
we
not
be back in
sure
the fall. We can show off. This is how we do it. Thank y'all so much for hanging in there. But go ahead and wrap up in your own way. I want to say Happy Mother's Day. We will not be on next weekend because we want to honor the mothers, and I hope all of you have a wonderful, wonderful Mother's Day. Pastor Sam is on you.
how. Well, I'm not showing out like they show out. But what I want to close up and saying is for the one who has regrets, and the one who is molting in their regrets, and really falling in their regrets, is that we will understand that regret becomes a bondage. And
Yes.
it's not meant for us to be bound in any way. Christ died for us to be free and have liberty. And so turn the regret into repentance. If there are things that you're regretful over in your life, repent of that, and release that. Forgive yourself. At least acknowledge where you are so that we can be delivered from it, and understand that everything that we may be regretful over,
Hmm.
understand that God is going to take it and He's going to use it. He's going to use it for not only good in the testimony that you can have, but good in your life. So you no longer have to regret over it. You no longer have to stand in it. And if there's anyone who says, I need to come out of this, then contact Pastor Carl, contact me, Pastor Sam. Let us know, because at the end of the day, we want to see you free. We want to see you walk in the fullness of who God made you to be. We want to see you walking. And it's not because of anything that we have done. It's because we all have accepted the opportunity to release our regrets and say, God, I am no longer the same. I'm a new person. I'm a new creature, and I'm going to walk in that. And there is no regret worth losing
Yes.
your future over. There's no regret worth losing your future over. So while we're regretting over things of the past, we're missing the opportunity of our future. And so I want to encourage you. I want to, just admonish you to yield to the possibility of your future and the opportunity of your future tonight. I love you, Pastor Carl. Happy Mother's Day, Lady Angela, and all the mothers on here. Please continue to and encourage, foster the relationships and the conversations with people who are going to cause them to walk out of regret and walk into the promises ahead of them in God. I love you.
All righty. Guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in tonight. It is a pleasure always to serve all of you. We couldn't do this without you. Some of the comments, they were just turned into so many great questions because you guys are full, and I see some free people tonight. So thank y'all so much. Tune in. We will be back after Mother's Day. You guys enjoy your evening. God blessings to you. And remember, everybody deserves to have a good life. Good night, y'all.